It all started on that dreary day.
Oh, hello, sir. Miss Marianne's been expecting you.
Thank you. Could I have a coffee if you don't mind?
Of course. I was just making some for my lady.
While the maid went to make the coffee, Joseph rounded the corner and spotted Marianne doing her embroidery by the window. She looked at peace, not a care in the world, but that was about to change. Just then, the maid called for him from the kitchen. He rounded the corner and entered the small room that housed the kitchen and the laundry.
Sir, if you could please finish up with the coffee in here. I'm terribly sorry, but my brother has just gotten into a wreck and has been rushed to the hospital.
Yes, give him my regards if you please.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And then she pulled on her coat and trudged into the dreary weather. Once she had left, Joseph pulled out the porcelain cups from the cupboard. He poured the coffee, black for himself with a bit of sugar, cream, and not-so-healthy dose of bleach in Marianne's. He smoked to himself, picking up the cups and heading to the lounge room where Marianne sat by the window, blissfully unaware of the danger heading her way. She looked up from her embroidery, took a cup of coffee from his hand, and took a sip.
Don't you just love the rain, Joseph? I always feel like it will be a nice day whenever it rains.
I do quite like the rain. I hope you'll enjoy your coffee, dearest, but I must be going now. Madam Detective phoned my flat this morning, and I need to be at the station soon.
Yes, I suppose you should be leaving. I'm having some ladies from the book club over, so I won't miss you too terribly.
Yes, I'm sure you won't be missing too much of anything soon enough.
Well,
Bye. He went to the kitchen to dispose of his cup before pulling his coat closer to himself and leaving, shutting the door lightly behind him. Dirty harlot. Just as he was leaving the area, another with the intent to visit Marianne passed by him and walked up to the door.
hello, Benjamin. Come in and out of the rain. You'll catch a cold.
Marianne, how many times have I told you? Ben is just fine.
Oh, but you'll always be my Benjamin.
Yes, well, do you have any coffee?
The maid had to leave, but I can make some for us.
You go and rest. I'll make the coffee for us, my dear.
Marianne retreated into the lounge room while Ben stood to the kitchen. He grabbed 2 porcelain cups from the cupboard, noting that 2 of them were still in the sink. He scowled at the cup that had a lipstick mark on it and continued to prepare their coffees. He poured the coffee in the cups, a bit of cream for him, before he poured in sugar, cream, and a good splash of bleach from the jug on the counter. Once he was satisfied, he grabbed the cups and brought them into the lounge room where Marianne was sitting with her embroidery, looking a tad pale.
Here you are, my dear.
Don't you just love this pretty rainfall, Benjamin?
I don't really agree, Marianne. I feel that the rain is gloomy and all too down.
I suppose.
Well, I ought to be going now. I'm needed by Madam Detective at the station.
All right, darling. I'll invite some ladies from book club over to visit, so I won't be too lonely.
Benjamin nodded with a sour look on his face before turning back to the kitchen to place his cup in the sink. He looked again at the cup with a lipstick print on it before huffing and leaving with a slam of a door. Marianne finished the rest of her coffee, deposited her cup in the sink, and sat herself on the chaise in the lounge room. She felt a dull pain in her stomach and tried to ignore it, but it slowly increased to feel as if someone had stabbed her with a knife. She clutched her stomach and winced. She broke out into cold sweat and tried to move to her side in order to lay down. When she finally settled herself on her side, she froze. Her eyes welled back into her head, and she started to convulse. She continued for quite some time before she finally stilled and went silent. Marianne's body grew cold, never to be warm again. Try the new industrial strength bleach. It gets the stains out without ruining your clothes.
Please keep this product away from small children, as they may try to consume it.
If ingested, call the poison control line immediately, as consumption may lead to death.
The poison control line number is 1-800-222-1222. Again, that number is 1-800-222-1222. Just an hour after Marianne took her final breaths, her third lover was humming a happy tune on his way to see his love. Little did he know he would be walking in on the murder. He walked up to the door and gave a soft rap of his knuckles on the cold wood. He knocked again. He knocked one final time and called to her.
Marianne? Hello?
He went into the flat and looked around, his eyes landing on Marianne's cold body.
Oh my god! No, this can't be happening! What could Marianne have possibly done to deserve this?
Alexander gently cradled Marianne's head and looked around the lounge room.
How could this happen?
Just then, he heard the front door shut and a voice that cut through the silence like a knife.
Miss Marianne! Why is the door open?
Marianne's maid walked to the coat rack and hung up her coat, while Alexander scrambled off the couch and looked around for an exit.
Damn it, she'll think this is my doing.
He slunk over to the window and pushed it open just as the maid appeared in the doorway of the lounge room.
Ah!
The maid gave a shriek as she spotted her madam's body and looked over to see Alexander's back.
You! Stop right there, murderer!
The maid shakily took a few steps forward as if to stop the man before he fled, but Alexander was swift in his movements. He jumped out the window and landed on the ground.
Miss Marianne! No!
The maid got up from the chaise and went to the phone, where she dialed for the police.
Hello, who may I connect you with?
The police, please.
Just a minute.
Hello? Sir? Oh, I can't believe this is happening. My employer, Miss Marianne Lemmings, is dead. Dead? Natural causes? I don't know. I came home and the door was open, so I got worried to find Miss Marianne, and when I got there, oh, it was awful. There was this man, he was her lover. As soon as he heard me coming, he opened a nearby window and jumped to the street. Slow down, ma'am. Did you get a look at what he was wearing? The color of his hair? Are you sure it was her lover? Yes, I'm sure I've seen him before. I don't know his name. She never told me their names. There? How many were there? Only 3. At least, I think. 3? Well, no wonder she's dead. Sir, this is no time for shaming. She was murdered, for God's sake. No matter what she did, no one deserves to be found foaming at the mouth on their deathbed. Foaming, you say? So it was murder. Of course it was. How else could a healthy young lady have died so suddenly? My apologies. My team and I will be right over. Where is the late Miss Marianne Lemmings' address? 1805 Skeltick Road, Wychester. All right, ma'am, we'll be right over.
Oliver put the phone back on the receiver and turned to his colleagues who were working on some paperwork at the desks.
All right, man, we have a deceased Marianne Lemmings at 1805 Skeltick Road in Wychester. The maid found her body and a man identified as one of her lovers as the main suspect. Let's head over there now.
Oh, you two go on before me. I'll finish up here and meet you at the scene.
I also have some things I need to finish. Oliver, why don't you go ahead and interview the witness, and Joseph and I will head on up there once we're done.
All right, then. I'll see both of you later.
Oliver grabbed his coat and hat and walked out of the police station. Well, I'm going to use the washroom before I go, so if you'd like to leave without me, I don't mind. Joseph walked to the washroom before looking around to see if he was being watched before booking it out the back door to the station. Now, how the hell am I supposed to kill Oliver? He's too sharp not to notice the evidence of someone else being in the flat. Joseph walked down the street before turning to Marianne's pathway. Now, Ben actually did want to finish up on some paperwork, but there were much more important matters to be taken care of. He sighed before grabbing his coat and going out the front entrance.
Thought I'd have at least an hour before they found her.
He walked along the path, noting a familiar frame in front of him, and sped up to see if his eyes were deceiving him.
Joseph, I thought you went to the washroom.
Oh, yes, well, I left the washroom and saw you had left, so I figured I'd better go as well.
You sure are a fast walker then.
Yes, oh, look, we're here! Their conversation came to a halt when they reached the house, both men pausing where they stood. They both continued to see Oliver speaking to the witness outside.
Joseph, why don't we wait here for them to finish their conversation? We don't want to disturb his interview.
Yes, I agree. That sounds like the best option. Both of them felt relieved that they would not have to go over and interview the maid, as she would certainly recognize them both. Oliver shook hands with the maid and gave her a business card before she walked away. Joseph and Ben walked over just as soon as she left to speak with Oliver.
Oh, you two are finally here. I just finished interviewing the maid, and she said the suspect might still be in the area. Why don't you two go and search the perimeter?
Joseph and Ben nodded and started to make their way to the back side of the flat. Just then they heard a rustle in the bushes. Wait, did you hear that?
Hear what?
Shh, listen. The detectives looked at each other and nodded before slowly creeping over to the bush that was making a noise. Once they got close enough, Ben and Joseph reached out a hand and swiftly put the bushes aside.
Ah! Don't hurt me! I didn't do it!
What were you doing in the bushes?
What bushes? I'm not in any bushes. I was just taking a walk. Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to get back to that walk now. Hold it.
Are you aware that there's been a murder at the house you oh so conveniently stumbled upon during your walk?
Well, I had nothing to do with that. I'm not so easily convinced. Well, yes, I was her lover, but I didn't kill her. I loved her.
Her lover? Then you're one of her other men.
Other men? Yes, Marianne was cheating on us. I mean, you, with other men.
Pardon, did you say us, Ben?
No, I.
That little snoot was cheating on me with my coworker and this bumbling idiot?
So, it was all 3 of us.
Well then, I must admit, I did visit her this morning, and I may have put bleach in her coffee.
Are you being serious?
Yes, well, she did cheat.
No, I mean, so did I. That's exactly how I poisoned her as well.
Oh. Great minds think alike, I suppose.
I'm sorry, are you saying that both of you killed her?
Joseph and Ben looked at Alexander, momentarily forgetting he was there to begin with.
Yes, we did.
Do you happen to have a problem with that? She did cheat on all of us.
No, as long as you don't hurt me, I'll go along with your plans.
They all stood there for but a moment before starting the conversation on how they like to get rid of Oliver.
Maybe we could poison him like Marianne, so they think it was just a string of poisonings connected to Marianne.
No, then they look further into Marianne's case and see the connections between us, her, and Oliver.
We could hit him over the head with something in his house.
That should work.
Oh, by the way, what are we going to do about the maid?
What about her?
She saw me. Is that not important? Yes, well, that's going to be a problem. Marianne never told her our names. I doubt we'll be seeing her again. You're not understanding me. I think we need to get rid of her.
It's not the worst idea. Certainly she's given Oliver vague descriptions of all of us. She can, she's seen us at one point or another. I'm sure she's connected the dots. 3 lovers, 3 murder suspects.
That does make some sense. All right, then we're all in agreement to kill the maid.
Joseph and Alexander nodded. They sent Alexander off to the maid's house with a knife that Ben had hidden in his coat. Then the 2 detectives circled back around to the front of the flat and went inside.
Well, what took you so long?
While Ben was speaking with Oliver, Joseph snuck behind him and grabbed the iron from the linen closet and turned to where he was standing. Joseph signaled to Ben to step back, and he did. Just as Oliver turned to see what Ben was looking at,
What are you looking at?
Joseph had swung the iron and crushed in the side of Oliver's head. He fell to the floor with a wet thud, splattering blood across the once pristine floorboards. He twitched once, twice, and then he was still.
You could have been a little less messy with it.
Well, you tried swinging this bloody heavy iron at someone's temple, then us forced to do that.
That's fair. All right, give me the iron. I'll wrap it in some cloth and take it with us. You go wash up. You have blood on your face.
Will do. Joseph washed off the spatter residue and met up at the front with Ben, who now carried the iron wrapped in several cloths. They walked over to the maid's house to see if Alexander was done. They hid in the bushes and looked toward the front of the door, only to see Alexander run out of it and down the street. They rushed to follow him and saw him get to his house.
That little. He didn't even do his job. Damn him.
Give me the iron. Ben gave the iron over to Joseph, who walked around the back of the house to the trash bin and threw the iron inside. He's not holding up his end of the bargain. We won't either. Now let's go kill that maid. The detectives walked back to the maid's house and went inside to see the maid lounging in a chair reading Marianne's book. Ben grabbed a sturdy-looking lamp and snuck up behind her. He waited for a moment and lifted it high above his head before bringing it crashing down on her head with a crunch. She slumped over in a chair, bleeding profusely from the head.
See, that wasn't so hard.
Give me the lamp while you clean the blood off your hands. Ben handed the lamp over and walked to the washroom, where he rid himself of the maid's blood. Joseph wrapped the lamp in the cloth, and they headed back to Alexander's house. They deposited the lamp into the trash bin next to the iron and went back to the police station to grab their things.
Where do you want to go now?
I think Paris is a good start.
Paris it is, then.
They walked to the train station up to the ticket booth.
Where are you 2 headed?
2 tickets to Paris, please.
Yes, sir.
Tickets and money were exchanged, and the 2 men, who were no longer detectives, boarded the train.
Do you think we've ruined our lives?
No, I think they've just begun. The train started up and took the men far, far away.